Hello and welcome back to the Heart of Amethyst. We will be continuing where we left off on Almond's route. And yeah, it's been a while. But first, channel members. Thank you. Thank you for supporting me. Ooh. You guys are at the beginning of the video now. Ooh. Anyways, so what was I saying? Oh yeah, Almond. So we will be continuing Almond's route. And in case you don't know, for this visual novel at least, I am doing all three routes at the same time. So yeah. So if you recall in the previous episode, well, video, update, whatever, we ended up going to a tavern, bar, and we met one of Almond's friends, Garo, who is based on Garo, one of Jaden's friends. And we got to learn a bit more information about Almond and his proclivities, which left Ehlly a bit uneased, especially if he thought about getting closer to Almond. Like, he felt a little like, do I want to risk getting closer to this guy if he's going to be acting that way? But we did end up also meeting someone very important, a certain Malamute whose name already escapes me. This Malamute seems to have had some interest in Ehlly. He seemed to have recognized them. I wonder why. So yeah, some very important stuff happened. And now we're gonna see the consequence of that meeting. And we will also be seeing some of the royal ball. So yeah. Anyways, so without further ado, let us continue Almond's route. Chapter 3, The Royal Ball. It was a little past midnight and the streets were getting colder by the minute. Not long ago, a few little droplets of water started falling from the sky, meaning that he had to hurry to his destination if he didn't want to get drenched. Something that he personally hated, as his fur tended to get messy when wet. Besides, going through all the trouble of finding this idiot was infuriating enough to him. Still, the urgency of the letter made him feel uneasy. So, even if it is something stupid, he needs to make sure. After all, it's odd for the idiot to send him any letters, as he barely knows how to write. Still, he's not even a little happy about walking through the streets this late at night. Sometimes, he just wishes that he could throw all this other life away and just live as a pastor. But there's always a new job to do, and even if he wants to, there is no way of refusing. So, for the time being, he'll just suck it up and continue walking. Eventually, he catches sight of that awful tavern. And, if there is something that he knows about his partner, it's that he never misses a chance to go to that dirty establishment. Talking about dirty, the dog feels the ever-so-familiar feeling of poop on his shoe as soon as he entered the alleyway. Turns out he just stepped in a huge pile of horse dung. Fantastic. Simply fantastic. I could be drinking a glass of wine by now. But no, my night had to be ruined. Why can't I have nice things? He complains as he imagines himself drinking and partying in the high castle with the rest of the aristocracy. After all, he had been invited to the prince's birthday ball, and he had been looking forward to it for months. It would be his first time being inside those fancy halls, eating that marvelous food and talking with actually decent company. His efforts, at long last, had been acknowledged. But things never go his way, do they? And that's why the dog was in such a bad mood tonight. Anyways, he wipes the poop off his shoe as best as he can before opening the door to the bar and entering. Upon entering the establishment, he could immediately smell the scent of alcohol and male sweat. He looks around to try and find his partner, but all he sees are disgusting drunks who are partying, flirting, kissing, and some are getting handsy. Truly a sight not for someone with his high standards. But he'll just have to stick with it and pretend that he doesn't mind. Same thing he's been doing since the day he was born. So, with a steel resolve and the fakest of smiles, he greets the bartender, who in turn greets him with his own polite smile. Hiya, pal. What can I serve you? Nothing of the sort, my soon friend. I'm afraid that I must refrain from drinking for the time being. Actually, I am here looking for someone. Have you by any chance heard about a man named Pro? Pro? As in big scary guy with huge muscles who comes here often and has fucked half of my clientele, Pro? The dog rolls his eyes at the nasty response of the bartender. Although he knows this to be very true, Pro has always been a pig. And to make it even worse, ever since they got those good-paying jobs, Pro has been out of control, spending most of his money and free time drinking and fucking. In any case, he fixes his face and smiles again, nodding at the bartender. I am sure that it's him, yes. Have you, seen him tonight? I sure have, but I don't think it's a good idea to disturb him right now. He might be a little busy. I appreciate your concern, but this is a really important matter and it can't wait. So, could you please point me to where he is? Sure, buddy. Third private room to the left, after you climb those stairs. Can't miss it. The bartender points towards the back of the establishment, where a flight of stairs can be seen just past a few drunks. Much appreciated. Now if you'll excuse me. The dog tries to act nicely, but now that he knows what he wants, there is no need to waste any more time. So before the other man can say anything else, he moves away from the counter and into the dark hall that leads to the staircase, climbing them in just a few steps as he was in a hurry. Every single inch of this place smells like men, but the closer he gets to these private rooms, the sweatier the scent becomes. And given the moans and slapping coming out of the rooms, the dog can already imagine the reason why it smells like that. Still, he really had no time to waste, so not caring about the whole situation, he carried forward. The hall of the second floor was darker than the bar itself, only a few candles lighting the place. So trying to find the right door was a hassle. Luckily for him, a ray of light illuminated the big number 3 painted on the door. Which means that, according to the bartender, this is the room where Crow is. I hope that idiot at least has some pants on. The dog says to himself as he grabs the handle and turns it, opening the door slowly. But when he finally pops his head through the gap, the scene inside the room surprises him. The following scene consists of very explicit sex material. If you're either a YouTuber, me, streamer, or you just don't enjoy this type of content, I recommend that you skip it. Skip it? Yes. With his face still a little red from the previous interaction, the dog leaned on the dirty wall and waits for the two men inside to get decent. He couldn't take the image of Crow's impressive backside off of his head. It's not like he hasn't seen it before. They've been partners for a very long time. But this is the first time that he has witnessed the Malamute with another man, and the dog never imagined that Crow would be so rough in the act. Well, he has imagined it, but those thoughts died many years ago. After all, he had work to do, and this incident was nothing but a mere distraction. A few moments pass, and then the Dalmatian exited the room. Their eyes met for a split second, but the smaller dog ducked his head in shame and walked away in a hurry. The priest took this as his cue to enter, But before he could open the door, Crow exited the room and signaled him to go downstairs. Let's go get a table, Snake. Up here really isn't the best place to have a serious talk. Ugh. He hated when people use his real name. And when he says people, he means Crow, since he's the only one that currently knows it. And ever since they left the orphanage, he's the only one who's called him that. Fine. The smaller dog said with his cheeks still fully red as they went downstairs to pick a table. Once there, Crow nervously smiled to his boss, fidgeting with his hands like the little kid that he is. Snake saw this and rolled his eyes, ready to just turn the page and forget what he just saw. If you're going to apologize about it earlier, save it. I don't care what you do with your money and your spare time. Besides, we're here to talk about business, aren't we? Yes, boss. Good, then let's start. First, I want to know, why here? Of all places, why did you make me come here? I don't know, just felt like the right place. It's dark, secluded, and everyone here minds their own business, so it's private. It's fucking disgusting, that's what it is. Aw, come on. It has its charm. Crow sent Snake a dirty look, to what he responded with a blank expression, clearly not willing to continue that line of thought. Anyways, get talking. Oh, right, sure. But first, I want you to promise not to get mad at me. Okay? Oh, goddesses, what did you go and do now? It's just that, I know this is serious and all, but I swear that it's not my fault. Well, it kind of is, and I didn't do it on purpose. Out with it, just tell me. Okay, so, you remember 10 years ago, right? Like, that time that when we were sent to the forest to get the heart of Amethyst, and we kind of set the house on fire? Well... Remember that you told me to kill the kid? Because he would only cause us trouble? And I did kill him. Kinda. Well, I was sure that I did, but now that I'm not so sure because he kinda came to the bar and we kinda met. And he's kinda... not dead. Snake kept on looking at Crow in disbelief, with a concerned yet angry expression on his face. Boss? Please tell me that you're joking. I wish I were, but I'm... not. You know what this means? Yeah? No, of course you don't, you idiot. You never know anything. By the goddesses, we're in deep trouble. If the higher-ups hear about this, all I've worked for will be for nothing. You promise not to get mad. Shut up, shut up, shut up. I need to think. We need to deal with this. Fast. Snake placed his elbows on the table and then held his head with both of his hands. He was experiencing a feeling that it was hard to describe. It felt like anger, but he was also feeling anxious and very hopeless. What were they going to do? They were screwed, completely screwed. Gentlemen, I hope that I'm not interrupting. The two men turned around towards the voice of a woman, looking confused as to why she's talking to them. At first, Snake gave it no importance. After all, this was a bar, so being talked to was expected. But that's when he remembered the kind of bar that they were in, and that's when it hit him. He recognized that voice. She was... My Lady Priestess! Snake immediately lowered his head, bowing in front of the woman, who was one of the highest-ranking members of the church. Crow, on the other hand, was looking as confused as always. What's going on? The idiot asked, but Snake didn't even give him a second to process the situation. because he grabbed the other male by the scruff and forced him to bow too. My lady, what a nice surprise. What are you doing in a place like this? I could make the same question, don't you think? What? This? Oh no, my lady, please. This is just a meetup between two friends. Isn't that right, Crow? Yeah. We were just catching up, having a few drinks. Exactly. Nothing to it, really. Enough. I know exactly why you're here. So, it'll be faster if you two just drop the act. Besides, the church has been tracking down the boy for a while. You have? Crow spoke. His voice was a little shaky, which showed how scared he was. Still, his curiosity got the best of him, and he wanted to know why they hadn't been punished yet. Yes, for a while now, ever since the failed regicide a month ago. So the church knew all along. Snake couldn't help but wonder how much they didn't actually know. There were reports of a young white fox with purple marks on his body, so of course we had to confirm it for ourselves. Now imagine our surprise when the informant guaranteed us that the boy was indeed Ehlly. Not even the council knew what to do. We didn't know, my lady, we swear. Of course you didn't know, nobody did. Luckily for you, the council has already made a plan to deal with this irregularity. Just say the word and the little bastard is dead. The woman sighed, and even when they can see her face, they can hear the disappointment in her voice. As I was saying, the presence of this boy is an unexpected anomaly. But as unexpected as it may be, this also is a great opportunity that we can't afford to lose. Opportunity? 10 years ago, you two failed in recovering the heart of Amethyst, and to make it all worse, you killed the only one who might have known where it was. Now this person turned out to be alive. That's why our organization can't afford to lose this chance. Can we? No, ma'am. No, ma'am. The two men said without hesitation, as they knew that if they disobeyed or asked too many questions, their lives could be in danger. The next following days are very important, so you must stand by and be ready for anything. Did I make myself clear? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Our plan has already been set in motion. In the following days, you two will be given further instructions. I hope that you don't disappoint, for both of your sakes. With that threat floating in the air, the woman vanished in the shadows, leaving them with a heavy heart. They didn't speak a word or even muster a sound. They just knew. They knew. They ought to be ready for what's coming. I was feeling like shit by the time that we made it to the castle. All that drinking and walking had drained all my energy. And I was not feeling mentally stable either. To say that my mind is all over the place would be an understatement. I now have to face an even bigger threat than I had feared. What can I even do against such a big organization as a church? Do I even stand a chance? My distress must have been apparent to Almond, who, in an attempt to calm me down, grabs my hand and leads me towards the entrance of the main castle. Once we made it there, I immediately am astonished by the beauty of the structure in front of me. It's so big that it might as well be touching the sky, giving the building an air of grandeur. At the same time, every single corner of the castle seems very well taken care of. There is not a single spot or stain in any of its walls. The metallic inscriptions and decorations shine like pearls. All the banners hanging from it have not been shredded in any sort of way, and the marble statue that decorates the center of the garden ends the whole display on a high note. Simply a work of art that cannot be compared to anything that I've seen before, not even the castle back in Rose Island. Quite the sight, eh? It's beautiful. I'm glad you like it, because we're going to be spending the next week here, mate. Really? I thought we were just staying the night. for the ball and all. I said to Almond, feeling a little confused as I had not been informed of this change of plans. Well, that was the plan, but the king decided to stay for a few days. Don't ask me why, because I don't know. I thought that he told you, mate. I never heard of it. Oh, well, don't feel too bad. I was informed about it the same morning of our trip here, so maybe it was a last-minute decision and he just forgot. Yeah. The king doesn't strike me as the kind of man that would just forget about stuff like this. But Almond has a point. He's old. So maybe he indeed just forgot about it. In any case, I decide not to dwell on it as I follow Almond further into the garden. So, a big party, eh? Yes, pretty big. Prince's birthday and all. And what type of stuff do you do in a party like this? Oh, you know, the usual. I wait for the wolf to elaborate, but the answer never comes. He just stands there awkwardly scratching the back of his neck. I get impatient and nudge him on the side. Could you be more precise, please? Kinda new to this. Ah, well, you see, I'm not that good at it either, mate. You are kinda barking at the wrong tree here. Well, any recommendations? Don't talk to strangers? So don't talk to anybody. Gotcha. We both share a chuckle as we close in on the big crowd that has formed in front of the entrance. All of these people look really important and fancy, making me feel really out of place among them. Almond guides me to the entrance furthest away from the main one, in which a wolf knight is standing guard. Identify yourselves. The man says with a demanding voice. I instinctively hide behind Almond, who luckily takes the initiative and speaks. We are the king's retainers, sir. Almond and Sir Ehlly. The king informed you of our presence. The wolf eyes us up and down, trying to guess if what Almond is saying is true or not. But before the man can speak again, a very weak voice interrupts the conversation. Yes, let them through, please. To my delight, a known face makes his appearance from behind the big guard. The small dog seems as nervous as always, but he manages to spare me a smile as he sees me. Very well. This way, please. The guard opens a wooden door that leads to a dark hallway illuminated only by a few candles. You go on ahead, mate. I'll catch up to you later. I really don't want to be there more than necessary, so I'll arrive a little late. I nod to that and then enter the hallway, waving my hand to him before the door closes. Before I can muster a word, I get dragged through the endless corridor within the castle. This is far darker than I expected, making me feel a little nervous. Zack explains that we are beneath the main halls, some sort of secret passage, that, according to him, are not really secret at all. And what are these used for? Mostly for moving around. The servants in the main castle have many tasks to perform daily, so these help with getting from one place to another more effectively. Although you may need to learn the layout first. Goddesses know that I got lost so many times as a rookie. You used to work here? Yes. I was adopted by the royal family when I was just a baby. I was an orphan and they, raised me to be what I am. I owe them a lot. So you've been working as a butler since you were a kid? Not that you're not a kid now. I mean, even younger. Yeah, since I was 5. Aw, I would pay to see you in your cute little butler outfit. You must have been such a cute kid. Zack refrains from saying something. Instead, he just whines like a little puppy, his cheeks burning bright red even through the darkness of the hallway. In any case, the conversation dies there as we reach a changing room, which, according to Zack, we will use to get me into my party attire. The place is not very spacious, but I don't get much time to explore as the little butler insists for me to get on my underwear. I'm about to make a dirty joke about that, but he seems in a hurry, so I refrain from it. I do as he says and strip my dirty clothes, dropping them on the ground. He then proceeds to spray me with a heavy-smelling cologne that almost drowns me. The scent is so strong that I swear that it made me tear up. But before I can catch my breath, he puts layer after layer of clothes on top of me, each more tight than the previous one. Master, please stay still. I need to button this. Buddy, if you do that, I might suffocate. And I wish I were joking, but I am not. This gotta be the most uncomfortable attire that I've ever worn. Like, seriously, who would put this on willingly? We're almost done. Please be patient. Just get it over with, buddy. Yes, just one last strap and... He tightens the last piece of clothing around my back and my chest, and I promised you, I heard my ribs cracking. There, all done. You're looking dashing, sir. I can't breathe. After suffering through that, I exited the room and headed towards the main hall. Zach left my side before I made it to the door. He told me that he wasn't allowed there, as only the top butlers and maids were able to serve in big parties. Makes sense. After all, he's just an apprentice. So I said my goodbyes to him with a hug and left him be. Goddesses know the poor kid must be super busy. Now back to the present. I'm standing in front of the door to the main hall, which is enormous. Almost as big as a 3-story house. I wait in front of it for a few seconds before I notice that the guests are not actually entering through the door, but rather a smaller side door to the right. I wonder why you'd even build such a big door. I mean, if you're not gonna use it, why put it here in the first place? Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked, so not wishing to waste any more time, I move in line with the rest of them. By the door, there is a fancy-looking Samoyed butler picking up invitations. And as I notice that I don't have one of those, I start to panic. I have no invitation. I was never given one. What am I supposed to do? Do I try to find one of the others? Or is there another entrance for the retainers? My mind starts to race, but before I can do something about it, I find myself in front of the line. A very tired Samoyed looking down at me. Invitation? He coldly says, extending his hand towards me. I don't have one, sir. He lifts his eyebrow at me and then sighs. Name? Ehlly? Ehlly Biscotti? Sir Biscotti, come in. King's retainers don't need an invitation. I hear some murmurs behind me, people talking about what's taking so long and criticizing me for wasting their time. I try to give them no importance, but they start to bluntly say some nasty things. So the rumors were true. Yes, he's a commoner that almost killed the king. What is this world coming to? A nasty commoner like him walking on these grounds? I've heard that all the king retainers are freaks like him. What is that man thinking? That old man is totally losing it. We need the prince to step up and quick. I don't want to accept it, but I feel crushed under the avalanche of negative comments coming my way. I turn around trying to find the ones who said those things, but I'm only met with hateful expressions and judging gazes. Sir, please move along. The butler placed his hand on my shoulder and kindly directed me into the main hall. I can still feel their gazes glued to the back of my head. Those eyes who silently tell me, you don't belong here. I still remember the feeling of entering a throne room for the first time. Places designed with the sole purpose of making everyone feel insignificant, except for the one sitting on the silver chair. Well, I can take that feeling and shove it up my ass. This place is twice as big and 10 times fancier than the throne room back in Laguna Castle. The walls seem to be made out of white gold and jewels. And as you walk, you get the feeling of stepping on diamonds as the tiles shine as if you look up, you'll be met by beautiful paintings splattered all over the ceiling, which is being held by many rows of chiseled pillars carved to perfection by the artists. Finally, my attention is drawn to the end of the room, where an enormous golden statue guards the throne in which currently no one is sitting. I move around the room trying to remain close to the walls as I don't want to get swallowed by the sea of people. They are all nobles of different races and backgrounds. Some of them are dancing to the music of the orchestra, but most are engaging in lively conversation. And of course, there are some loners like myself, just standing around and looking in the direction of the crowd. Now, here's when I ask myself, what should I do? All I can think about is how not to embarrass myself again. Maybe I could try dancing, although it looks a little complicated for me. Or I could try socializing with the royals, but I honestly don't think that I have anything in common with them. There is always the option to go get a snack. I'm feeling quite hungry after all. My mind races as I try to decide on what to do, going through the many different outcomes and possibilities. And most of them end in a very bad note. But I really can't just stand around doing nothing. So I take a deep breath and then move towards the main stage, awkwardly making my way among all the people. I end up by the edges of the crowd, just a few steps away from the dancing patrons. They delicately move around in pairs, the men holding the ladies by the waist, and them in return placing their hands on their partner's shoulders. From time to time, the ladies make a spin in place, and then the gentlemen hold them down, preventing them from touching the ground. The way that I see it seems simple enough. But that's not the real challenge here. The thing that I'd most likely have trouble with is going to be asking a lady to be my dancing partner. With a smile, I nervously approach a fancy-looking vixen, but she looks at me and then ignores me. I try the same with 4 ladies, but to no avail. I get no positive responses from any of them. Tired of it all, I decide to just leave and take some fresh air. But as I'm about to exit, I feel a gentle tap on my shoulder. I turn around and meet face to face with a very handsome wolf. His fur is almost completely white except for some grays areas in his hair, sideburns, and chin. The man seems quite bulky under the many layers of clothing he has on, and his facial features are nice looking. His eyes are as green as the leaves of spring, and his expression is warm like the morning sun. Excuse me, by any chance are you looking for a dance partner? Astonished by the suddenness of the question, I can barely muster a word, which he doesn't seem to mind as he gives me a few seconds to compose myself. Yeah, I am, but none of the ladies seem willing. Well, I am no lady. But if you would be so kind, do you wish to share this piece with me? The man extends his hand and places it in front of me, making his proposition even clearer. I look around as if we were doing something wrong and then ask him, Are you sure that you can do that, man? We're both dudes. People are going to start talking. The wolf seems taken aback by my words, but after a few seconds he just giggles and pays them no mind. I assure you, dancing is not a matter of sexes. It is a matter of heart. Let them talk as much as they want. Still, if you decide not, we don't have to. No, I mean, if you say it's okay, then I guess I could try. Shyly, I take his hand, and with a smile, he guides us to the dance floor. The unknown wolf takes my waist, meaning that I will be the lady in the situation. So I place my arms around his neck, our bodies very close to one another. The music starts and a few royals give us dirty looks, but no one dares say anything. At least not out loud. I'm feeling rather nervous, which makes me trip over my own feet more than once, but the wolf is kind enough to help me keep the pace. Try to relax, sir. I find it comforting to look into my partner's eyes while dancing. He holds me closer and then smiles, taking the lead completely. Our faces are very close, to the point where I can feel his warm breath hit my nose. I try to follow him with my clumsy moves, and eventually, I ease into it. He's very good at dancing. His movements are swift and delicate, but at the same time carry some force in them, making it easier for me to follow his steps. You're getting into it. First time? Yeah, not much of a dancer myself. Really? You're a natural then? I smile, feeling rather light as I move around with the stranger. It's hard to explain, but he's got a certain comforting aura around him. You're very good. Thank you. I've had to practice it since I was a child. Royal protocol? Indeed. Here comes the first time for me to spin, but I tripped and almost fell. Luckily, he catches me in his arms and holds me tight. Are you alright? Yeah, I'm golden. Just a bit dizzy. Well, have you gotten anything to drink? Oh no, it's not because of that. I haven't drank anything yet. Would you like to then? We could share a glass of wine if you fancy. Looking around, I see more and more eyes locked onto us, which makes me feel self-conscious. Yeah, fuck it. Let's have a drink. The man laughs at the bad word and then places me carefully on my feet, making me realize that he had been holding me all this time. My cheeks blush at that, but he seems to pay it no mind, opening a path through the crowd as we move away from the dance floor. This way then, he says, and I just follow. We come to a stop once we reach a pillar far away from the crowd. The sea of people seem to be gathering up front, so I'm guessing he chose this area so that we could have a more tranquil chat. Being around too many people seems to get to me. Nothing better than to take a breather from time to time, don't you agree? Yeah, not a big fan of crowds either. I feel suffocated after a while. We share a short moment of silence, both of us taking our time to check the other one out. Taking a closer look at him, his face reminds me of someone, but I'm not sure who. Where are my manners? I haven't even introduced myself, have I? My name is Snow. Snow Clearwater. Clearwater? I knew I had seen this man before. Well, I haven't seen him in person ever, but I've heard of him. This man is one of the 5 Viceroys who, alongside the king, rule over the kingdom. And to think that I would run into such an important figure. Shit, what do I even say? Okay, no reason to fret. I've spoken to the king many times before. I'll just mind my manners and have a normal conversation. My name is Sir Ehlly Biscotti. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance. The man looks at me dumbfoundedly, and after a few seconds of uncomfortable silence, he bursts into laughter. His chuckles are quite adorable. I'll give him that. But why is he laughing? What did I do? Did I do something dumb? I try to play it cool, but I can feel the heat getting to my head. I'm so sorry, Sir Ehlly. I really don't mean any harm. It's just that we've been talking without honoraries or boundaries this whole time. The contrast is just too funny. I couldn't take it. Please forgive me. He continues to chuckle, and although I feel a little embarrassed, I start to crack too. Yeah, I kinda said fuck it in front of you, didn't I? You sure did, but I promise, I don't mind. We share that moment for a bit longer, but eventually we just stop and look at each other. You're nothing like I expected, Sir Ehlly. Those rumors don't do you any good at all. So I guess you've heard about my deeds? Well, the whole kingdom knows about it at this point. They paint you like some sort of crazy pyromaniac who's got nothing to lose. Most people are afraid of you. Really? I rub the back of my head and look away. Geez, I knew my reputation was bad, but I didn't expect it to be this bad. I probably should do something about it. I'll ask Almond and see if he's got any ideas about it. So, aren't you scared, Sir Snow? Me? After meeting you? Not at all. I would even say your company is quite lovely. I smile at that, feeling grateful that I am at least liked by someone. Besides, I'm not the kind of man that listens to rumors anyway. I personally hate them. That's why I always go through life deciding what to think and do for myself, not depending on what others say. Such as dancing with the pyromaniac? Precisely. I like this guy. He feels like a breath of fresh air among a bunch of smoke. Same way that I feel alongside the other retainers. Although I must be honest with you, our encounter was not entirely random. I had another reason to want to approach you. An ulterior motive, if you want to call it that way. It's nothing bad, I assure you. Well, these things are not usually a good sign, but we've come so far, I might as well hear the guy out. Besides, it's to be expected. It's okay, man. Just speak your mind. Thank you kindly. He seems relieved after I said that, which means that he must have been holding it in for a while, probably scared that I would reject him or just leave. So, you're one of the king's retainers, correct? Yeah. So, I was wondering if you perhaps know of a man named Almond? He's supposed to be another one of the king's retainers. Are you perhaps a colleague of his? If so, do you have a means to communicate with him? Almond? What could a guy like him need of him? Is he in some sort of trouble? Yeah, I know of him. Oh, what's your deal with him? I just need to talk. It's important. The man seems deflected, sad even, I wonder. No, there's no way. I mean, it's a possibility, but he's a royal. A very important one at that, so surely... Has Almond been If you see him, please let him know that I will remain in town for the rest of the week. I just need a few minutes for... As the man continues talking, a butler approaches us and touches Snow by the shoulder. My lord, thank the goddesses that I found you. Your presence is required. The prince insisted in meeting with all the viceroys. Can't that wait, Charles? I'm afraid not, sir. You're the last one. The man looks at me, then back at the butler, then me, and he lastly sighs deeply. Please, Sir Ehlly, don't forget. You would be doing me a great favor. I'll see you soon. And with that, he waves and then leaves, following the butler back into the crowd. I, on the other hand, just remain there and reflect on the last part of our conversation. What could a man like him want with a guy like Almond? Knowing the wolf, the possibilities are endless. But would he really? Well, I guess my next step on this party should be to find him. It's not like I have many other things to do. And I have a slight suspicion of where he might be. I'm about to leave when I manage to hear a couple of royals talking behind my back, but to my surprise, it's not about me. Could that really be Viceroy Snow? Oh goddesses, he is! I expected him not to show his face around here, not after all he's done. The nerve of that man. And to both of his siblings. What a monster. But it's not a surprise, really. His father was also a heathen. His poor wife had to suffer through a lot. Isn't he married himself? To think about all the awful things that she must put up with. Given how far away they are, I can hardly hear the conversations, but I know for a fact that they're talking shit about Snow. I want to hear more, but then I remember Snow's own words and I immediately feel bad with myself. The man approached me after hearing all the rumors about me, and here I am prying about him. So deciding to be the better person, I leave those people alone and make my way out of the Great Hall. I exit through one of the side doors and into a long hallway. I walk until I reach a flight of stairs, and then on top of those, surely enough, there he is. Finding him was both luck and a hunch. He told me that he hated parties, so I guessed that he wouldn't be inside the halls, but the king needed him to be here, so he would also be nearby. All of that, plus the fact that he's always liked pretty sights, led me to find him here, sitting on the handrail of a balcony. And, as I said, I was just lucky enough to find him on the first one that I looked into. Because let me tell you, there are many balconies on this building. I walk closer to him, leaning beside him on the handrail. It doesn't seem like he wants to start a conversation, so I don't speak and just check him out silently. Even though he said that he hates this kind of event, he sure is dressed up for the occasion. He's wearing a very fancy emerald-colored shirt, with brown pants that are tied up by an equally expensive-looking leather belt. My eyes are drawn to the shirt, which is partially open, leaving part of his chest exposed to the night. It looks good on him, but I get the feeling that it's not supposed to be worn like that. Although, that is the Almond touch that makes the outfit look unique to him. Hey. Slacking off? His ears twitch as he hears me talk, but he doesn't turn his head around. Instead, he keeps his eyes glued to the sky. On the contrary, mate, I'm keeping an aerial view. Oh? And have you found anything interesting? Yeah. You. I chuckle at his cheesiness, which I usually find stupid, but this time I think he nailed it. Call me crazy if you want, but the mood is having a certain effect on me. The both of us are alone, sitting by ourselves under the full moon. So, you enjoy the party, mate? I'm trying to, but the royals make it difficult. Most of them are just stuck up and pretentious jerks. Yeah, I totally get it. Not my kind of party anyway. I prefer it when there's more dancing and drinking. Like the ones at the bar? Yeah, totally. If we hadn't been on a mission, I would have totally invited you to a glass or two. And then, we would dance until dawn. Talking about it brings me back to that bar. It was a lot dirtier and sweatier, but it had its charm. At least, we could have been free to do whatever we wanted. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I guess I would have liked that too. You know, I would have liked that too. Almond turns around, his mouth open and his eyes about to leave his sockets. For real? Yeah, I reckon it would be nice to give it a try. Almond's tail starts to wag behind him, betraying his true feelings. We could always go back. Obviously not today, but around this week. We'll have to see when the time is right. I say that smiling, and he smiles back, looking at me with those big green sparkling eyes and that dashing grin of his. Sweet. We both say nothing else, but soon enough I remember that I had to give him a message, so I break the silence. You know, I met someone very interesting at the party. Oh yeah? Who was it? And should I be jealous? Maybe. He huffs at that, but I know he doesn't mean anything by it. It's just Almond being Almond. Well, for starters, he was the only royal who was not a royal pain in the ass. Uh-huh. What else, mate? Well, he was very kind and polite. Oh, and a great dancer. That's because you haven't danced with a real pro. He huffs again, and now I'm starting to wonder if he's actually jealous. Certainly not. Right? I mean, he's got no right to be. He's constantly hitting on other guys and girls. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. It's no time to be thinking about that. And he was a Viceroy. Snow Clearwater. Ring any bells? Almond stays quiet, looking at me dead in the eye, his expression being very hard to read at the moment. I look back at him, unsure of what to do or what to say. He wanted something, didn't he? He finally spoke, looking away from me with a serious expression. He just wanted to talk. He asked me to let you know that he would be here for the rest of the week. I see. Wait, that's all you're gonna say? Are you okay? How do you even know this guy? Just drop it, mate, please. But Almond, I'm worried now. I know, but he's my problem to deal with. Now please, leave me alone, mate. I need some time to think. I turn around and walk away from him, my head hanging low as my feelings were conflicting right now. I can't help but feel a little bad, after all. This is the first time that Almond snaps at me. But the worst part is that I'm not even mad at him for doing so. I'm just worried. Worried about him being in trouble, worried about this new mysterious person and what he means for the wolf. But the thing that I am most worried about this is Almond not trusting me enough to talk to me. For a moment I thought that he could rely on me, but I guess I was wrong. Although I can't really blame him. After all, I haven't told him anything about my past either. Maybe this is for the best. Maybe it's better that I don't get involved. I've got other things to worry about. And one of them is to find my way back to that ball. To be continued. Just for this update, the new codex content can be viewed here. I need to fix that. Oh, wow. That was a lot of writing. I'm exhausted. But it was totally worth it, though, as we finally got to see some very important characters for the story to come. Talking about those, did you like them? What are your thoughts on the newcomers? They each have an important role in the story. You'll just have to wait and find out. On another note, this is the first update in which the new sprites are implemented. Took me a while to make them and program them, but I like them. They look a lot more like I had envisioned them when I started writing Heart of Amethyst. In any case, I'm really happy to be working on this project again. I had forgotten how good it feels to see my boys in action. I'm really sorry for taking so long, and I'll try my hardest to not let it happen again. Thank you so much for all the patience. Especially to my Patreons, who continue supporting me even though the updates and news were very scarce. You guys are the best. Anyway, I've talked long enough and there's nothing much to say anymore. Hee. So as always, here's my Patreon if you want to support me. There, and here's my Twitter in case you want to follow my social media. Don't forget to rate this project 5 stars on Itch.io if you haven't yet. Have an amazing day and a great week. Love you all. See you next time. So that was the Almond update. And I'm pretty sure that I'm going to splice things from my Roderick recording to stick into this one, just to fill in the gaps that I didn't record for Almond, because they share the same thing, like certain little scenes they share. But there are other little scenes that, in case you haven't seen Roderick's or even Icalis's, that are unique to them. So yeah. Anyways, so there's no spoilers. I won't talk about Roderick or Ehlly. So let's talk about Almond in the unique dialogue. So, for the very beginning, you got to meet 2 new people. Well, technically 3. Snake, the Malamute, whose name I already forgot, and the High Priestess. And in case you haven't noticed, Snake and the Malamute are the ones that were in charge of retrieving the Heart of Amethyst and basically killed Eli's mom and attempted to kill Ehlly. And obviously they failed in at least 2 of those 3. They were not able to retrieve the Heart of Amethyst, and they were not able to apparently kill Ehlly, because apparently he survived a dagger through the heart, which is weird to say the least. So I suspect magical shenanigans. And since the High Priestess is involved in this whole little conspiracy to commit murder, I assume that that also involves the church. I mean, it's very obvious it involves the church. And they're probably gonna try to kidnap Ehlly. So yeah, like we have that to probably look forward to. A kidnapping. Or something of that nature. And now fast forwarding, we go over to what just happened with Almond, in which we, I suppose, met somebody from Almond's past. Perhaps they are an individual that Almond was maybe in a relationship with, or maybe was messing around with. But apparently this Viceroy individual was married, and he committed adultery, probably. I mean, if we're talking about Almond, it was probably adultery. Or something. Probably. So yeah, there's some complicated stuff. And in case you haven't noticed, we are now talking about some maybe backstory related stuff, or maybe some personal issues that the other retainers are dealing with, aside from Eli's own little, I need to find my sister and I'm probably gonna have to be kidnapped. So now we're dealing with what the other retainers are dealing with, or things from their past coming back to haunt them or something. I don't know. So yeah. What are your thoughts? Write them down in the comments, and thank you all for watching/listening. If you would like to play Heart of Amethyst yourself, you can do so by going down into the link in the description and going... It should be the creator's Twitter page, Jaden's Twitter page, which should have a direct link for the HIO page where you can download the Heart of Amethyst yourself and play it, or you can just go to HIO and download it from there. And I will also be linking his Patreon in case you want to support him and the project. And that usually gets you early access to builds of Heart of Amethyst, and considering that he's back to working on it full-time, more or less, that should be more regularly, or something that you can look forward to more regularly, I guess. I think he also has Patreon exclusive drawings and stuff like that. So if you like NSFW type content, spicy content, you will most likely find that in his Patreon. So yeah, this is a good project. So if you would like to support it, then do so. Go subscribe to his Patreon. Anyways, so all pertinent links are in the description, and I guess that's it for now, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.